Hey, hello, how do you do? Shady Doorags here, and welcome to another episode of Episode Rundown, where I, Shady Doorags, run down the episodes of Miraculous, Tales of Ladybug and Cat Noir. And today we're looking at episode, 8, 9? I forget which number it was. We're looking at episode Glaciator, and it's a little interesting story about this episode. See, I wasn't able to watch this episode for a while because of the whole channel shutdown thing. I tried not to get too far ahead of where I actually am, because that could influence what I say. So I couldn't watch this episode for like 3 months. And the last episode was just the concept was just so bad. Like, it left such a bad taste in my mouth for 3 months. And this episode, well, let's get into this episode. So the episode starts with Ladybug and Cat Noir. They're saving the day. I forget exactly what they were doing, but they were saving the day in some way. And after they're done, Cat Noir actually asks Ladybug out and prompts to Cat Noir. He's actually living up to Adrian's character, because Adrian has always been so secure with himself in regards to girls. Secure in himself in all ways, but also in regards to girls. And it reflects to back when he was talking to Nino, and he told Nino, just be yourself, just go up and ask her out. He just flat out asks Ladybug out. And Ladybug declines him. She says she has plans with friends. And Cat Noir says, okay, well, I'll be there just in case you want to. So that's interesting. He then goes back to his house. His dad is supposed to be eating dinner with him, but his dad doesn't show up because that's their relationship. And Adrian decides he's going to go out and be Cat Noir and set up for her dinner. Ladybug, like she says, she's busy. She's hanging out with friends. And she actually does have plans with friends. She made plans with Alia, Maylene, and their boyfriends to go and eat ice cream. And she was hoping Adrian would come, but Adrian's dad didn't let him go out. So I kind of find that interesting that Nino invited Adrian out and he said no, but then he snuck out anyway as Cat Noir. Like, he could have still snuck out as Adrian if he wanted to. But I guess just in his mind, the Ladybug dinner was more important than hanging out with friends. And he didn't see it as a date kind of thing. He just saw it as hanging out with friends. So the episode continues. Marinette is actually very disappointed because it was kind of tricking Adrian into going on a date with her, because Alia and Nino were going as a couple. Maylene and Ivan were going as a couple. And so Marinette, she would have just been defaulted to Adrian. But they go and they get ice cream from, I forget his name, but it's this really Italian stereotype who I'm just going to say he looks like this one ice cream guy from Sonic Unleashed. If you played that game, you know there's this main ice cream guy in there, and he looks exactly like him. But anyway, they go to the ice cream. It turns out this ice cream guy's ice cream, you have to find the stand first. Now, that might be fun at like a theme park, but I feel like it's very bad business for like an actual stand. I don't know, maybe that's actually happening and I'm completely wrong, where you have to go find the stand if you want it. But I've been told a lot of times with businesses, consistency is key, so they should know where to find you. But that's a nitpick. They find him using an app, or they look, I think they ask people online, and somebody says, hey, I spotted him in this area, etc., etc. But his ice cream is famous at this point. It brings people together. So, Alia and Nino get ice cream together. Maylene and Ivan get ice cream together. And Marinette's just sitting. She didn't want to come. I thought she was going to say she didn't want to come because she feels like, the out wheel, the fifth wheel, as it were. She's by herself, but she's actually just really depressed that Adrian couldn't come with her. And so, the ice cream guy, I really want to say his name is Sanjay, but I don't think that's what it is. But the ice cream guy, he figures out Marinette is crushing on someone, and he gives her ice cream that reflects the person who she's crushing on. Ivan starts thinking, oh, who do we know who has green eyes? Because Ivan is the only one in the group who doesn't know she has a crush on Adrian. And Marinette kind of freaks out because she doesn't like it when people figure out that she has a crush on Adrian. And she's like, no, and she takes it out. The episode makes it look like she's taking out her frustration on the ice cream guy. And she says she doesn't actually believe his ice cream is magical. And this is Marinette. She is the kind of person who would believe in magical ice cream. But she takes it out on him, and she just kind of makes him feel bad about his ice cream. She doesn't want to eat it, mainly because she's sad, and B, she doesn't want Ivan guessing who she has a crush on. So that actually disheartens the ice cream guy, and that of course targets him for the Akuma, and he becomes Glaciator, whose power is he turns people to stone by shooting ice cream at them, but he won't touch couples. Meanwhile, Marinette goes back home. Cat Noir is actually very, very sad that Ladybug didn't show up. And I'm kind of thinking in my head, she told you she wasn't coming, dude. She told you she had plans. But, he was hoping she'd show up anyway. He actually addresses that. He sees Marinette. They do this thing. They say, hey, we've met before. And I'm like, yes, you acknowledge it. Thank you. Somebody, I think it was Marinette, they said, yes, once. I think it was Cat Noir, actually. It was one of them. They say, yes, once when the Evillustrator was after Chloe. And I'm like, there was a sequel to that episode. The Puppeteer is a direct sequel to the Evillustrator, and they met in that episode, and they can't seem to connect that. But it's fine. At least they acknowledge that Evillustrator happened. So, Cat Noir sees that Marinette's having a bad day, and he just wants to, hang out with somebody, And he sees that Marinette is down, and Adrian, being the good guy that he is, takes Marinette to the dinner he had for Ladybug. Oh, I would have loved it so much if they just hung out. They just had a simple dinner date as friends. I think that would have been a lot of character development right there, just to see them do that. But as soon as they get there, Adrian gets really, really sad. Now, I'm not upset that he gets sad. That's actually very realistic that he gets sad, but it's not what I wanted to happen. So I still give the episode points for that. But he gets really sad because this is the reaction he wanted Ladybug to have, and instead Marinette is having it. So obviously I'm ignoring the whole they can't recognize each other without their masks thing, but for now at least. But yeah, Adrian's really sad, and he says, he confesses to Marinette that he loves Ladybug. And I'm just like, finally! One of them says it. I mean, I guess Cat Noir kind of figured that Ladybug knew, but we didn't have Dark Cupid where he said he was going to confess anyway. But he's been dropping all these hints, and Cat Noir is secure enough to say something like that. So Marinette, she's just like, oh, you have a crush on Ladybug? It's like, you guys can't make fun of how boys never notice this stuff when Marinette never notices that Cat Noir has a crush on her. He is constantly flirting with her. Constantly. But I guess she just sees it as playful banter. But yeah, so that's a realization. And Marinette kind of has a realization of, oh, I kind of have to deal with this. But before, she can really get any words out or anything, the Glaciator comes, and he's specifically looking for Marinette because of what she said about his ice cream. So Cat Noir hides Marinette, and he goes to fight Glaciator. She, of course, turns into Ladybug, and she goes to fight with him. When she comes, Cat Noir has this attitude problem. And I got really annoyed at it. I got really annoyed, but I also appreciate it because, his heart is kind of broken at this point, and you do kind of feel some kind of disdain when that happens, especially when you're really, really young. It kind of, in my mind, I feel like Adrian's above that kind of attitude, but at the same time, I've been constantly complaining in the past episodes that he's been too much of a Gary Stu. So, while it seems a bit out of character, I'm not really that upset with it. I'm just more disappointed in Adrian as a person. And he gives Ladybug this grief, oh, you were busy with your friends. It's like, she was busy with her friends, dude. What are you mad at her for? And she says, she tells him, oh, she didn't mean to blow him off. I'm like, Marinette, you are not the one who needs to apologize in this situation. You turned him down. You told him you couldn't come. You didn't even turn him down. You just told him you were busy. Like, he should be willing to accept that. But they acknowledge in the episode that Adrian is in the wrong. So I make much bigger of a deal out of it than it is. It annoyed me that in the middle of this fight, like they were supposed to be fighting this guy, and Adrian was given attitude. Like, he was making things worse. And there's actually a point where they realize that he doesn't attack couples, and Ladybug was like, well, let's pretend to be a couple. Ignoring the fact that goes against Ladybug's whole heroes never lie thing. That's when Cat Noir, he's like, oh, pretend? Just, I had a little bit too much fun with that. But yeah, but then that's when he realizes, he's like, okay, I'm being a jerk. I need to stop. And they go and they pretend to be a couple, and that's when they try to attack, when they can get close to him because he won't attack couples. And of course I blame Hawkmoth, but it is what it is. They get close enough to him and Ladybug attacks, but her yo-yo goes right through him, and she's like, oh, he isn't the ice cream. He didn't turn into the ice cream monster. The ice cream's just surrounding him. He's still in there. Which is interesting. I never thought of it like that. Some people do transform. Some people, they just get things that protect them. But anyway, moving on. Ladybug does her Lucky Charm. And I was actually pretty satisfied with the Lucky Charm. Even though it's still a writer's convenience, I thought it was really creative how they used it. They put together the bicycle and a propeller, and they blew all the ice cream off. They had a motor too. Like, it was really creative what they did with it. So they managed to break him free and break the scooper, what the Akuma was in. So Ladybug, Cat Noir takes Ladybug to the dinner he had planned for her, and Ladybug says, look, I get it, but I don't want to play with your emotions. I don't know if you guys just heard that. My stomach growled something serious. She says, look, there's another boy who I'm already interested in. Well, she doesn't even say all that. She just says, there's this boy. And of course, Adrian can put two and two together. And so that I thought it was mature of Marinette. I can't say it was mature for Marinette, because I do feel that's something Marinette would do, especially as Ladybug. She tends to be much more mature as Ladybug than she is as Marinette. And I do feel that was, but I still feel, but I do still feel it was quite a mature moment. I guess "but" was the word to use there. But Cat Noir comes and he gives Ladybug a kiss on the cheek, and he says, well, he acts like he's really happy about what she said. And this I am conflicted again, because he gets back to his place and Plag's like, what was that about? And he says, well, Ladybug's friendship is the best gift I can get. And my stomach is growling something serious. I need to eat. But the thing is, again, this is within Adrian's character. He's that kind of Gary Stu mentality, and he's that sure of himself that he can take rejection like that. The problem is that it now goes against what happened before when he was doing all this pouting and stuff. Like, he just had his heart broken. He just got rejected. Anybody, especially a young teenage person, feels some kind of disdain when they're rejected. And I would imagine, like, I would have felt better if Adrian had put up a front in front of Ladybug, acted mature, and then had some kind of just upsetness about himself, for lack of a better term. Just some kind of upsetness about himself, like he had to cope with it. Like, you can overcome the grief that comes with getting your heart broken. I just feel like him being happy about it is too much. Like, even if he was a bit melancholy about it, being happy about it is a bit too much. I feel that's them pushing him in the Gary Stu position, where the fangirls watching who want Adrian as their husbando, they would appreciate that he could take rejection like that. I think that's what that more was for than actual character development. So Marinette goes back to Andre. I think his name was Andre. What did I say? Sanjay? No, Andre. Okay. She goes back to Andre and she apologizes and he gives her the same ice cream before again, like Adrian. It depicts Adrian. She walks down this bridge. Immediately as she does, Adrian comes up the bridge and they have a 5-0 moment where if you just freaking turn around, you will see something very significant. Adrian goes and gets ice cream and he believes it's magic. Well, he asks Andre, is your ice cream really magic? Andre says, what do you think? He says, I think you gotta believe. I missed the chance for a power rapper there joke. A power rapper joke there. But Andre gives him ice cream that depicts Ladybug. And I'm like, oh, this would be pretty awesome if he walked down the bridge to where Marinette was and they had some kind of confrontation. But he instead turns around and goes the opposite way. And I'm like, ah. Oh, I almost forgot to complain about something. And I'm glad I remember because, it's like the 920th time I complained about this. One of the excuses Marinette gives when she's telling Adrian, oh, I can't tell you who it is, blah, blah, blah. She's like, oh, we're superheroes. We can't reveal things to each other. We don't have a choice. And I just want to reiterate, yes, you do have a choice. Yes, you can reveal things to each other. Because you've revealed yourself to the old man, the freaking turtle guy. You've shown him, he knows who you are. And he knows who Cat Noir is. Like this whole you can't reveal yourself to anybody, that's very inconsistent within the show. And I guarantee you, eventually, in the future, she's going to reveal herself to somebody by choice. And is going to completely ignore that rule. But anyway, the episode ends with them, like, on the opposite sides of the bridge, eating ice cream. Adrian's going back home. And Marinette's just sitting on the bridge. And I'm going to say, I really like this episode. I really did. It has a lot of good character moments. It has the character moments I want. Adrian and Cat Noir. Marinette and Cat Noir just talking. Like, I normally don't like Marinette and Cat Noir interacting. I prefer Ladybug and Adrian because there's a bit more interesting things happen. But this time they were both in a similar situation where they both felt rejected. And it would have been a bit more interesting for... Okay, let me keep my mind on topic. Back to that thing. I think it's very interesting that they interacted in that way. That they could see that the other person was upset in that manner. I would have more liked if Marinette told Cat Noir who it was. But, you can't have everything. But I still feel like the show is trying to force love drama. I still feel like instead of a natural story of how this would work, it really just throws in these random rules to say, no, they can't reveal to each other. It needs to stay a secret. That's why our fans eat this stuff up. So, while I do like it, I do also see the flaws in it ultimately. But I like it more than I see the flaws. My Doorag is messing up. But yeah, it was a very enjoyable episode. Even the villain was pretty fun. Like normally when you have really good character moments, like I shouldn't say normally, but sometimes when you have really good character moments, the villain is sacrificed. Not this time. I'm mainly thinking of Despair Bear. Because Despair Bear, the villain, that was just really bad. But I like the overall concept of the episode. I think the overall concept was good. There were just a couple moments here and there where I would have preferred it go a different direction than it went. And while I do still feel like the superhero secret identity is a weak excuse, while I do still feel like frustrated that Adrian still doesn't know that Marinette likes him, like ultimately I liked more than what I complained about. So I feel much better, especially after that freaking Gigantitan episode. That nonsense. So here's hoping it keeps going along this development route, because I feel like there has been more story and more development than there was in season 1. But yeah, overall, really good episode and I liked it. So I will see you guys next time for the next episode. This has been Shady Doorags. So long, farewell, Ad Vita Say.